Hi, people. We're back. It's the podcast that must not be named. I am Melissa.
I'm Luke.
And we are here discussing Chapter 2, Aunt Marge's Big Mistake. This chapter was 15 pages long and was 4.85% of this book.
And now, a voice of the Imaginary Legion.
Chapter 2. Miss Dursley's Blunder. Hello, Vernon Dursley here. This time that ungrateful so-called nephew has gone too far. After all the sacrifice that Petunia and I have endured for this boy and his abnormality over the years, this is what we get. On July 31st, we had a family meeting at breakfast concerning the upcoming visit of my sister Marge. Marge is a very robust woman who lives on a bulldog farm in the country. Very well-to-do. Harry finally shows up for breakfast just as we turned on Dudder's new TV set. A news report about an escaped convict flashed across the screen. Black is armed and extremely dangerous. Not surprising. He looked like a filthy layabout with very messy and unkempt hair. Kind of like Harry's. But I was annoyed that the reporter never said which prison he escaped from. Marge was going to spend a week here. I told Harry to keep a civil tongue, talking to Marge, and there will not be any funny business while she is here, and to be on his best behavior. I also informed Harry that we've told Marge that he attends St. Brutus's Secure Center for Incurably Criminal Boys. That's when the boy tried to blackmail me into signing a permission form. He told me that he will be good and play along with the school thing as long as I would sign the form. Evidently, my permission is needed so that he and his friends could visit the nearby village. Never heard of it. Hogsbrew or Honeymead or something like that. Anyway, I saw right through that scam. Never intended to sign. My sister Marge is very abrupt and quickly speaks her mind. And to my amusement, she does seem to like to torment Harry. She brought her dog Ripper. Let me tell you about Ripper. 2 years ago, during a visit, Harry accidentally stepped on Ripper's tail, resulting in the dog chasing the boy up a tree in the garden. Marge refused to call the dog off till way past midnight, I might add. Dudley and I still laugh about the incident. Not surprising that Harry tries to keep his distance from that dog. However, I don't think Petunia likes the dog being in the house either. The visit was going very well until about the third day. Marge and I were drinking wine, talking about dog breeding, and relating it to Harry's upbringing. It's one of those basic rules of breeding, she said. If there's something wrong with the female dog, there's going to be something wrong with the pup. Just then, the wine glass she was holding exploded. Marge said that she must have squeezed the glass too hard, but Petunia and I knew better. But the incident that burst the bubble came on the last day of her visit. Drinking brandy, I confirmed to Marge that James Potter was unemployed. Marge said, as I expected, a no-account, good-for-nothing, lazy scrounger. That's when a very angry Harry said, no, he was not. Harry rose to his feet and yelled, they did not die in a car crash. That's when Marge screamed and called him a nasty liar, a burden on decent, hard-working relatives. You are an insolent, ungrateful, little... Just then, she seemed to be swelling with inexpressible anger, but the swelling didn't stop. She inflated like a monstrous balloon and drifted up and out into the air. When I confronted Harry and sternly demanded, come back here and put her right, the boy refused and said, she deserved it. I'm going. I've had enough. And then he fled off into the night. I hope that when his kind catches up with him, they throw the book at him and arrest him for this grave rule infraction. I also pray that they will put my sister back.
That was insightful. So now we're going to do a couple of character introductions. We had a couple of mentions. Colonel Fubster was mentioned.
Colonel Fubster. It's like just a classic Harry Potter day right there.
It is very much. Ripper the bulldog. He's the only named dog of the many dogs.
Right, and we do actually meet Ripper.
Yes, we do. You're right. I tend to block him out.
It's a good block.
Yeah. And we've heard of this person before back in earlier books, but today we meet her for the first time, Aunt Marge.
Yay! No, not really.
No,
Not really.
no,
Yay!
sorry, she doesn't get a yay. Not even a like pretend sarcastic yay.
Yeah, I want to retract my previous statement, my previous emphasis.
I don't think we had any new locations because we sort of just hung out at Privet Drive.
Yeah, I didn't see any magicabulary either.
We don't tend to on Privet Drive episodes,
and I think that's maybe on purpose. It's supposed to be dull and boring, so it's easier for
much like muggles are.
The most mugglish muggles to be found.
I like that. The mugglest muggles. So let's talk about the picture. What do you think? What you got there?
What do I got here? So there's a lot of flailing going on, it looks like. Definitely some floating, and it looks like a tipsy-topsy chair.
And underpants.
And a very, very large set of underpants.
I appreciate that they put that in. I find that very humorous.
Yeah, no, that definitely does not look very comfortable for her.
Not even a little bit, although the shoes look little compared
small.
to... Yes. I don't know. I think it's funny. She cracks me up.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Luke, what are some of your thoughts on this chapter?
So, very similar to last chapter, I really think JK's exposition is getting a lot better. We're reintroduced to the entire Dursley clan, and she hits on the same ideas, but represents them in new and interesting ways, I think. Especially like when she describes Petunia Dursley. She says how she's, thin and bland and all of this, but she gives it real good context as to more of her nosiness in, whenever we hear about the escaped convict, and like immediately she like runs to the window, and that's what's used to describe how nosy she is. It's just well done the way she picks her spots to then, she kind of goes a little bit, not like the first instance this character is mentioned. It's once we see one of those characters' actions fill one of their characteristics that we then get that exposition. And it's just, again, much more natural, and it doesn't feel like you're reading, here's a list of facts. It feels like these are things that Harry's noticing at the time that we're going along in this chapter with him.
Yes. She's very much showing us instead of telling us.
Exactly. That really is. And I can't really say it differently than I feel like we are present with Harry in these first couple chapters as opposed to just being told a previous story.
Yes. Like all the exposition happens simply because it fits with what's happening currently in the story as opposed to, I need to get all this out.
Exactly. Yep.
Yes.
I really like it. Very similar to book one, we have another character that is so perfectly written to be hated instantly. In chapter 1 of book 1, we very quickly realize we're not supposed to like the Dursleys. And she does a good job at over and over driving that home. Maybe, really knocks you over the head with it a little bit, but at the same time, it's such a developmental thing for Harry that it fits. And she does a very similar thing with Aunt Marge, I think. What do you think?
I love Aunt Marge. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't like her. I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of her anger. Mm-hmm. But as mean as she is to Harry, and she's mean, and it's not okay that she's mean, she at least expects something from him. She at least interacts with him. And I know it drives him crazy, but you might actually look at it in a way that says, you could theoretically turn her around. If you met all her expectations because she has some for Harry, you could see possibly that she could be turned to not despise him so much.
I agree with that. I don't mean to cut you off, but
No,
that made me
fine.
think of Like, I wonder if she had more context about him and knows that he's not really that weird, like truly not like a weird kid. There's just something extra about him, and he's not lying about his parents.
Right.
Like, because she, like you're saying, like she expects things out of him. Like, I don't know, maybe she sees potential there and is cruel because it's not happening or what, but like I wonder if she is as out of the normal hating that Vernon is. I don't get that same feeling. I think she's just very stern and strict and feels like what the story that she's been told about Harry doesn't do him any favors.
Right. So I have like a half-formed thought, so I could be completely
Well, I just
crazy.
stumbled through that one, so...
Okay. Back in book 1, I kind of stumbled on my new theory that I think it's all Petunia's fault that Harry is so badly treated.
Okay.
Okay. That it's Petunia's fear of the unusual and Petunia's hatred of things magical that caused Vernon to hate them.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Petunia had welcomed her nephew with open arms, Vernon would have as well. Right? We talked about that.
Yeah. I think that's
that.
you can
Well,
make that
I
argument.
agree that he is also stern and kind of stuck in his ways and a little conservative and maybe fuddy-duddy, like
and cruel
at
at
the end
times
of the day,
because of it.
right? Like and very pompous and arrogant, but like obviously loves his kid in very weird and twisted ways, but loves his kid. And I think had Petunia had a different attitude towards her sister, Vernon would have been fine with it because obviously he took the kid in. I think if Petunia had a better attitude towards Harry, Vernon would be fine. He would still be all those things, but it wouldn't be so blatantly, we hate you and you're being raised with hatred.
Mm-hmm.
That then relates to Marge because Marge is only getting Vernon's perspective.
Right.
She doesn't know Harry's story. She's never taken the time to get to know Harry. She didn't know Harry's parents. And I'm sure because we had gotten even back in book 1, a letter from Marge. So I know she communicates with her brother probably more than her sister-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
Marge is only getting Vernon's point of view, which is skewed by Petunia's point of view. So of course it comes across as Harry, the good for nothing, stealing our good fortune and helpfulness and sucking dry our things.
Right. It doesn't sound like he's overly going out of his way to bash on Harry's parents either, because, I mean, Marge didn't even know.
She doesn't know anything about them.
Right. She didn't know what Harry's dad did or anything. So clearly
Right.
Vernon's leaving stuff out as well. Or, I mean, clearly it's just not coming up. So maybe Marge just knows, like, the original story.
And so I think she would always play favorites. I think Vernon would too. It would always be Dudley over Harry.
Sure.
But I think it would be not so blatantly, we're going to pick Dudley and what you going to do about it? It'd be more, okay, it's Dudley, but here's something for you too. Like more of a pity and a, oh, poor you kind of way
Mm-hmm.
instead of a, how dare you, you ungrateful little whatever.
Right. Yeah,
If she had more context.
I think that's
and I feel
fair.
like she, in theory, could have, if given enough information, is the only one of the 3 Dursley adults who has potential for changing
at this
her
point,
opinion.
still.
Because Vernon and Petunia both have all the information.
Right, and they've
And
actively
they
decided.
chose
Yep.
this. Marge didn't choose that.
That's been
Marge
forced
is working
upon
with
her.
the information she's given.
Yep.
And I think it's funny that she likes Harry to be around. I just find that funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I
like
agree.
the whole dynamic between her and Harry.
That's a very interesting take on Marge. It's pretty easy to just read through it and be like, she is way worse than even, Petunia and Vernon. Like, it's so easy just to think, because she's so outwardly, blatantly cruel on someone who doesn't know him at all. Like, there's no context for her to be this cruel that we really see. She's just going out of her way to force Harry to be close to her so that she can keep picking on him, keep bullying him, just because she enjoys it. I mean, that's what it looks like on the surface for sure. But it's interesting.
See, I never took it that way.
Really?
That's so funny. No, like I've always thought of her as this mean person who's picking on him, but it was always more like she's doing it to back up her brother.
I've never taken it that way. I've always thought that
Yeah.
she was the more blatantly cruel of the two. I mean, it's hard to compare them, but it basically, she is at least the same level of cruel and goes out of her way to be so blatantly, because she only has like a limited amount of time to get some in.
Right.
So I think that's
but I
why
don't
she
think
seems
she
so
would
much
do
worse
it
to
if
me.
she wasn't backing up her brother.
And that's what we just don't know. That's why that change of perspective is a little new for me.
Well, I just assume she's the older sister. She
I
feels
definitely
older sister.
I definitely feel that way as well.
Speaking as an older sister, if there was a situation or whatever that there was just this random person, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't, whether I like them or not, I just wouldn't give them two thoughts. But if there was this random person who my brother did nothing but complain about, oh yeah, there would be a lot of my passive aggressive, mean, snide comments or complete ignore. Like,
You're
if my brother doesn't like you, I'm going to make sure that you understand that I don't either.
right. Your techniques might be a little different, but it'd be the same idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Without
I don't know.
question.
That's funny that we've always thought so differently about that. That's why we do this. That's what makes this so interesting because I have a different potential view on Marge. You know, it's interesting to take it that way, and I'll see if that changes how I feel moving forward in these books.
As I defend Marge, I still can't stand her.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
still mean. I just dislike her less than I dislike the Dursleys.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
So my final note on this chapter is we have our first use of what I'm going to call a level 2 curse word.
Okay.
Basically, it's not just like Ron saying bloody hell or, like all like kind of like bad words, galloping gargoyles, like all these that we've had plenty of.
Right.
But this is like the first like actually bad word that we've had. And yes, it's used in a not truly like curse word style.
Curse word.
But
no, it's not.
It's definitely used as a double entendre to get Harry's goat and kind of upset him because clearly Aunt Marge is talking about Lily Potter,
right.
Harry's mom, and so
so
it does still kind of qualify as a curse word. I feel like.
Oh yeah,
but it's definitely
I told you, passive aggressive.
It's definitely our first use of a level 2 curse word.
Yes, I agree. Good catch. All
All
right. So my first thought really goes with Dudley, who we don't see much of because he's planted in the kitchen, stuffing his face and watching his brand new TV all day long. I super love that he's too lazy to walk into the living room while eating or after eating to watch TV so that his parents bought him a kitchen TV.
Yeah, it's too far of a walk, man.
Oh, that kid. I have nothing new to add to that other than just say no. Don't give it to him. Just say no.
Oh, you can't.
You know?
That's terrible parenting that you're advertising, telling your kids no.
Yeah.
Come on.
Don't tell my kids that. That's all they ever hear.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
No is
All
good
right.
for you.
No, it's excellent for you. I really like Vernon and Petunia thinking the escaped convict could be on their street. What? He could be here. What do you mean? Where did he escape from? Dude, he's not going to be on Privet Drive.
Right. Do you have a prison down the street? Like, is that a thing?
Privet Drive is literally the most boring street on the planet.
Right.
Not going to be there.
Right. By definition, there's not going to be an escaped convict walking down the street.
No, not going to happen. I mean, unless you know the guy and he's coming to visit you, he's not going to show up.
Right. Definitely.
Not going to wander around after escaping from prison and be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go walk through the suburbs for fun.
Let's go hang out in the burbs.
It'll be great. Nobody does that.
That's great. Yeah, like
People don't hang
what's
out
there
in the
for him?
suburbs
I mean,
fun just in general.
yeah, no, that's definitely pretty funny. I mean, clearly they live in a pretty nice neighborhood, we're led to believe. So maybe they're thinking, oh, we have things to steal. So like, oh, there's a criminal out there. He's probably going to be, causing mayhem around. So it's just very standard Dursleys. Like, no one cares about you. Just stop.
No, nobody cares about you. That's why you still don't have a house in Majorca.
That's right. That and Dobby.
Also true. So let's talk about St. Brutus's.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay. St. Brutus's is not, there is no St. Brutus, by the way.
Okay. So not an actual Roman Catholic canonized saint?
Episcopalian saint, I think. Because it's
Anglican.
Either way, I did some research through the Harry Potter Wikia and just different sites. And a lot of places said like there is no real St. Brutus's. So if there's no real St. Brutus's, there's no real St. Brutus school, or the Secure Center for Incurably Criminal Boys.
Right.
There is, however, a Facebook page.
Yeah.
There's nothing on it, but there is a Facebook page and a t-shirt.
Oh, is there?
Yep. Google it, that you could buy. They have a crest, which is funny. But here's my question. So if we know it doesn't exist in like our real world, let's talk about the Harry Potter world. Within the context of the England that J.K. has established, do you think St. Brutus's is an actual school within that world? Or is it a school that was completely made up by Uncle Vernon as a pretend school in the fictional world of Harry Potter just to cover where Harry goes? That might be a convoluted question.
No, I see where you're getting. So in the real Muggle world, in the Harry Potter story,
does it exist?
Is it a real school there? Is it a truly he could go there, but possible place he could go?
Right.
I'm going to say no. I think they're making it up, mainly because I feel like J.K. is doing her best to have it fit. Their real Muggle world is the same as our real world. So I feel like that's the intention, so that if it doesn't exist here, it doesn't exist there. Outside of the set aside wizarding areas and with that whole conglomeration. So I feel like it's definitely something that they're making up, and there wasn't Google for her Aunt Marge to do some backup research on, and I don't think she's going to spend a lot of time thinking about Harry, so she's not going to check into it because she has no reason not to trust Vernon. So So I don't think there's any reason for it to be real, and there's no way, if it's not, for Marge to find out.
Okay.
It's a pretty creative name, if that is the case. Good job, Vernon or Petunia, for coming up with it.
But it does sound like something somebody would just randomly make up. But I also know how JK names things, so it really could be something in her world. So I've never really known. I have no answer. I have no opinion.
Right. We don't ever
ways.
get an answer. Not canon, at least.
Right. I don't know. It's just funny.
But I do like that it's for incurably criminal boys. In the name, it's like, well, these are literally hopeless causes.
Right.
So why? Why is that a place? How dreary could it be?
There's literally nothing you can do to fix yourself.
If it's incurable and there's nothing that why even send them? That's basically just prison. There's no difference.
I think that's kind of the point.
Right. It's like a detention home.
Yes, exactly. All right. Next point. I really like that Harry realizes that he made the glass blow up in Marge's hands. And then his next immediate thought is, it's been a while since I've lost control like that. I think this is the first time he's really lost control and been aware that he's done magic when losing control.
So the first time since he's found out that he's a wizard and can do magic, that is a potential, explosion of the stress-driven magic.
Yes.
Okay. We don't have any other examples that I can think of since Hagrid brought the letter of anything like that happening. So I think that's pretty reasonable. Yeah.
Okay. And my last thought, every time at the end when she starts talking about, I think it's his parents right before he blows her up, right?
Yeah.
She starts talking about his parents, and then Harry shouts and interrupts her and says, he was not, right? That moment. All I ever think every time is, Harry, stop. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. You're so close. You've almost made it. Don't do it. Don't talk about it. Don't bring it up. Don't, just no. And then he keeps going, and she blows up, and kind of everything breaks loose, and it drives me crazy. But every time, I know better. I've read the book 100 times. You can tell because it's in pieces. My book is literally in pieces. See, these are the parts of my book. Okay, podcast people, you can't see, but Luke can see.
I will verify. I see hardbound cover with the first portion attached to the front portion of the cover. The middle portion completely. The middle portion is right out,
Yep.
And there is a final, maybe third of the book that is attached to the rear hardcover.
I'm literally holding page 77 through 368 in my left hand, and 1 through 76, and then 369 to the end of the book in my right hand, and my hands are as far apart as they can be. There is no attachment happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you know a
I have
bookbinder,
read this book
we could have some
tons
work
and tons
done.
and tons. And every time I think, please just don't say anything. Just don't say anything. Just get the form signed. She's leaving in the morning. It doesn't work.
Yeah, I think that's one of those. It's a function of JK's good writing. You know, like we're in Harry's head, and we know, even the first time reader, I think, knows he's not going to be able to control himself on this because everything is written that she's being pretty brutal to him over and over this week, you know, going out of her way to just be terrible. And like, no one could take that, you know, and we know that Harry gets a little defensive about his parents. You know, we've seen it with Snape quite a bit, even though Harry never met his parents, you know, since he was 1 year old.
Yeah.
But he has this ingrained pride in his parents, which is good, and I like it. But Harry, you don't know.
Sorry.
And he has a hard time shutting that down because it reflects on him, and it's just, you can tell that he cares about, all he has is loving his parents, and there's nothing that anyone could say outside of that would make him be okay with that.
Well, keep in mind too, he's also been raised his whole life to think of them one way, and then he grows up and finds out it's not actually that way.
Right.
So anything the Dursleys say, it's automatically a trigger for him because they gave such a bad view of it. So it's automatically something he's going to be defensive about with them. 2, everybody who's met his parents in the wizarding world loved his parents. They were, you know, everybody loved him. Hagrid loved him. Dumbledore loved him. Like, they were big people there. So for him to be around people who now are like, oh, they're good for nothing, when he knows better, of course he's going to be defensive. And he doesn't have anything else except their memory. So he has to protect it.
Yeah, makes sense to me. You ready to get some 5 burning questions?
Oh, burn them up. What you got?
Burn them up. All right. So, question 1. Do you think Harry broke Marge's glass, or could Marge's drunkenly firm grip truly have been the culprit, as she claims it could be?
Having observed somebody drunkenly breaking a glass, it's possible that it could have been her. I think it was Harry. Just because he says then after, it's been a while since I lost control like that. But she really could have broken the glass. I think it's like her saying, no, I did it, I'm fine, absolutely makes sense. So I'm okay with her taking the blame for it. I really think it was him though.
Yeah, I don't know, like, because as you had just said previously, this is the first time he's done magic where he's just lost control. And I don't, like, that alone makes me question it, you know, like, because he's gone to school for 2 years and we haven't seen any hiccups like this. And yeah, he hasn't had his buttons pushed like this, where he hasn't had his wand and he hasn't been able to actually do magic. But I think that's definitely worth considering that she just could have done it, because she was getting kind of fed up too. You know, she was in a heightened state, if you will. And I mean, she had said that she did the same thing at Colonel Fubster's just weeks ago. So I don't know. I think it could definitely be warranted that she was actually at fault here.
Oh, I agree. I just think in general, the Dursleys are triggers for Harry. And so I think if he's going to lose control, it's absolutely going to happen in their house and not at school. I think at school, it's so unlikely for that to happen because there's nobody there who pushes his buttons like that, because even Draco doesn't get to him like the Dursleys can.
So the difference I see on this is he always has his wand there, and if he ever had that, he would be able to pull out his wand and actually do magic. So there wouldn't be this explosive outburst of magic that we're seeing here.
Right.
So that with the where Marge blows up, yeah. I mean, clearly that one I think is pretty plain as day that was finally crossing the straw. But I feel like the first one is almost a red herring to show us that this could happen, kind of thing.
But it doesn't actually.
I don't think it actually happens until he blows her up. I don't know. That's just my thought, at least, on it. Question 2. How lucky for Harry to have a chance to hold behaving for Marge over Vernon's head. You know, because he wants to go to Hogsmeade, and it's pretty lucky that he has this chance to kind of work his magic with Marge there.
I don't I feel like, so are you asking, do I think it's one of those convenient kind of things that she happened to work that into the text?
No, I mean, literally, it's pretty lucky for Harry that the thing he wants, this is one of probably
That
the
it
very
came this
few,
week as opposed to any other week.
right, very few things that he could do to get Vernon to trust him to get the form signed.
Yeah, I agree. Like, thank goodness it came before she came. The letter
Yeah.
came before Marge came and not after.
Right, because that gave Harry a reason to behave, and it gave
yeah.
him some leverage.
Yep.
Question 3. Could Harry have undone his stress-driven magic on Marge after he blows her up?
No. Well,
Because
maybe.
after he comes back down the stairs, Vernon says, "You put her right. You put her right back now." And then Harry just storms out. But would he even be able to undo this magic?
Okay, ignoring all the consequences that are going to happen for all the magic he just did or
Yeah.
would do.
Right.
I think he maybe could. I think there's a chance. I definitely think that he has the potential to. I don't know if he knows the exact spell, but I think there's potential for it. But I think he's already going to be in trouble for using magic.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You know, they reminded us about the statute of secrecy and the underage magic from book 2 with Dobby. So those are obviously issues. Not to mention that if he chooses to actually get out his wand and do magic, because maybe they keep an eye on all of that through wand usage, and this sort of explosive magic is less of an issue. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it makes me think back to the other stress-driven magics that we've seen Harry do, where he ends up on the roof at school and turns his teacher's wig blue. Like, I think some of those things aren't things that Harry could do even with his wand right now.
Oh, no.
So I don't think even with his wand that he'd be able to do whatever this innate magic eruption thing that happens. Like, maybe not all the time, but I feel like this one, I don't know if he'd be able to undo it even if he had his wand out, you know?
And there wasn't a potential for getting in trouble for doing more magic.
Right, yeah, without even worrying about
because
that.
he doesn't really want to help Marge, but
Yeah.
if he, maybe, I don't think it's likely, but I think it could be possible, as opposed to when you're 9 and you end up on the roof. No,
Right.
there's no way.
Right.
Because, and not because he's 9, but because he has no idea what magic even was at the age of 9.
Yeah.
At least now at 13, okay, maybe I don't know exactly what to do, but I can try something, or I know where to start, or I can look at in this book. There's at least, you have, it's a difference between just randomly trying something and trying something with some research and thought behind it.
Mm-hmm.
An educated guess versus just a random picking out of the sky.
Sure. Yeah, no, I gotcha.
Okay.
Question 4. Which feeling will Harry feel first? Elation for his freedom, regret for causing harm, or fear of what to do next?
It will not be regret.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
He's pretty committed at this point.
Yeah. I mean, maybe in a couple of years when he looks back and he's settled down into his life as a magical accountant or whatever he grows up to be. Totally. But until that time, no, that girl deserved it. So forget her. I really think it's neither of the other two either.
Okay.
Okay. So he's not going to be elated at freedom. He might feel relief at getting out of there, but I don't think it's going to necessarily be a super excited feeling. It's just going to be
jumping for joy.
It's going to be a sigh of relief. Okay, I made it out. So it could be that one. I really think it's my version of the last one. The last one was fear of what to do next. I don't really think it's fear so much as that jumping in headfirst thing he does, the saving people thing.
Mm-hmm.
He did with Ginny, and he did with going down into the fluffy hole and all those things. Now it's just his turn to save himself. Okay, what do I have to do next? It's not really an emotion, more of just this is what's next. What do I do? How do I do this? Where do I go?
Mm-hmm.
Not a fear, but a matter of fact. Let's keep moving forward.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. He's a doer.
How about you? What do you think?
I mean, I think your 2 points are correct. It's more of a sigh of relief and a focusing on what to do next. I don't think he's really going to be afraid of it, but there might be some uncertainty. which I
Yes.
think is where the fear that I was getting at
Okay.
is coming from. It's more of an uncertainty because, yeah, he thinks he's going to be on the run, and like, what's he going to do? Like, he has
Man on the
nothing, and he
Right.
feels like he knows he's going to be expelled. Like, in
Yep.
his head, no chance. So
None.
that's where the way I interpreted the uncertainty of fear was.
I'm with you. Sounds good.
So along with that, question 5, where can Harry possibly go from here?
Disneyland Paris.
Okay, how's he going to get there?
Broomstick.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the only thing he could do right now, right?
He could go visit Ron. I think that would be like the most realistic
Do you
thing.
think he'd
How about my
remember how to
broomstick?
get there?
He flew there last time.
I bet Hedwig could find him, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
just say, hey,
That's
Hedwig.
a great idea.
That's actually, yeah, that's what he would do. Hey,
That's exactly
take this,
what he would
take
do.
this letter to Ron. I'll follow you.
Or more like, hey, Hedwig, can you show me the way to
It's
Ron's?
funny that if like Outpost, they have to have a letter specifically. Like, hey, go here. I'll be right behind you.
Fly slowly. Can you tell me how to get to the burrow?
Weasley's house.
Come and play. Okay.
All right,
All
so
right.
let's get into our chapter superlatives.
Yes.
Melissa, what was your favorite line?
Have you been beaten often? Oh, yeah, said Harry. Loads of times.
It's so
He's
funny.
so dry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Loads of times. It's great.
That's old hat.
They do it all the time.
Yeah.
No problem.
I like that she rounds on him. It's like, don't if they're not beating you very hard, like you wouldn't be so happy about it. Speaking with that tone, if it wasn't hard enough. And she's like, Petunia, you should write in and tell them extra special meetings for this one.
See, that's why I kind of like her, because she totally calls him out on that. Harry doesn't get called out a lot for his dry comments.
Yeah.
Because they're so dry, they tend to kind of fly under the radar. But she was like, no way, dude. That's not right.
Right. Yeah.
Because if that was really true, you would not be doing that. You need more. I mean, I don't agree with her
The outcome
statement, but
decision.
I like that she caught him. Plus,
Yeah.
it was funny.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely.
What was your favorite?
When will they learn, said Uncle Vernon, pounding the table with his large purple fist, that hanging's the only way to deal with these people? Very true, said Aunt Petunia, who was still squinting into the next door's runner beans.
What the hell does that
These
mean?
people.
I don't know what that means. But yeah, basically it's Vernon being, well, it's out of the normal, so it shouldn't exist.
Right.
just kill them. Just kill them all.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
Get rid of them all.
that was funny.
Anybody with hair like that.
Right. Yeah. You could tell that he's not right. He's not good for anything. Look at his hair.
Jeez.
Ugh.
So bad. All right, Luke, who is your chapter MVP?
I had a hard time with this one as well. 2 chapters in a row. And I'm going to go with Harry ? I don't like using Harry. Obviously, we say that often. But I really disliked every other character in this chapter. I thought about Colonel Fubster, but we didn't get enough screen time for me to warrant it. And the main action that he did was kill the dog a couple
not so good.
months ago or whatever. So not so good. But Harry, he does a good job at kind of rolling with the punches for a while until it's just too much, clearly. But he does finally, I don't know, blow caution to the wind and just leave.
And blow her up.
Yeah. I mean, it's just nice to see where he's going to have to go from here, I think. Because he's actually in control of his own destiny at this point, and that's very good for Harry.
Yes. I also like that he manipulates the situation for himself.
Absolutely.
At least he tries to when it comes to getting his letter signed. That was pretty sly on
It's
his
going to be
part.
hard to remember that I go to St. Whatsits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a really
and
good one.
You better remember, but Aunt Marge isn't going to forget whatever I accidentally let slip.
Right. What I could tell her.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right. Who was your honorable mention?
Oh, mine was Aunt Marge, ?
Double question mark.
Because I don't like her. I am annoyed with her. She's mean. I kind of get why she's mean. And her mean is funny, as opposed to Vernon and Petunia, whose mean is just abusive and belittling.
She's
Hers
still
is at
pretty
least
abusive too.
Oh, it is. But hers is at least entertaining. Not that I condone any kind of
As long as the As long as the beatings are cruel or are funny, it's all good.
Right. Or just like her daring Harry. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to give Dudley a present and I dare you to say something. Why
It's
shouldn't I get you
conniving
one?
and manipulative. Trying to get him
I
to
know.
lash out.
I can appreciate her,
Very carefully selected words.
not her motives and not the fact that, but I can appreciate her skill set when it comes to how she's doing that, at least. And I do think she gives Harry a better appreciation for what he's got when she's gone.
Yeah, that's fair. And really, compared to everyone else in this chapter, she's the only interesting part, I think.
Well,
I mean, there's
you
some
don't know
good
what you
jokes
got
here and
till
there.
it's gone.
Right.
Right. Like, the song, you don't know what you got till it's gone. And all of a sudden, like, Harry's realizing that his quiet, peaceful, like, not necessarily pleasant, but at least nobody talks to me, nobody bothers me existence is gone. So she
Right.
gives him kind of a perspective on, it could really be worse here at the Dursleys. Not much worse,
Right. But it could be.
but a little worse. And she's worse. So it's a stretch, though. I think that wraps it up for chapter 2, Luke.
I think it does.
So, you want to continue the conversation about chapter 2? Find us at thepodcastthat.com. Leave a comment under our episode. Listen to some of our other shows, such as the podcast that drinks and knows things. And coming out this month, we had our Stephen King podcast, the podcast that floats down here, where we read it.
Special thank you to the podcast that Allfather, Ronnie, for his Imaginary Legion summary.
You can email us your questions or comments or the fact that you disagree with me completely about Marge. That's fine. At the podcast that must not be named at gmail.com. You can tweet at us at notnamedpodcast.
You should subscribe and like and rate us on iTunes and YouTube and do all those things which are cool and fun and stuff. Yay!
Join us next week as we talk about chapter 3.
The Night Bus. Stay imaginary.
Thanks.
In other exciting, not named news, we have a Twitter giveaway starting on Twitter today at Not Named Podcast. It's going to go for the next 2 weeks. We are asking you to follow and retweet. Every retweet is an entry into the giveaway, so do that now, and every time we post the competition entry form, and you can win a special prize. Thank you.
I think we just froze up. Are you there?
Ooh, here I am.
Hey,
you
there
are.
we are. Okay.
You were saying something and laughed, so I assumed it was funny. Ha ha!
It was funny.
Okay, I'm laughing for you.
Yeah.
Done.